Tech table. Tech table. Tech table.
Hello and welcome to the Tech Table, the Technical Staff and Theatre Workers podcast. It's the podcast in which I talk to people who work in the technical side of the industry about how they got in, their experiences, and any advice they can give to anyone getting in. This is episode 4 of season 6. Thank you so much for the downloads. It's been a great season so far, so really looking forward to the rest of it. Hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. If you want to give us a shout on the email, it is techtablepod@gmail.com. The social medias are all techtablepod, and that's Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, Threads, and YouTube. Thank you for the continued follows and downloads and the messages and the retweets. Not retweet because it's not Twitter anymore, but the repasses on us on the socials. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone you know who's interested in the technical side of the industry and anyone who's not, because it might make them interested. So without further ado, let's get on to our next guest. I'm here with my guest at this time. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell me what your current job title is.
Hi, my name's Erin Rutter. I'm the Deputy Head of Electrics at the Guildford Theatre.
Excellent. And how did you get into theatre?
Kind of like I think a lot of it. I started at school, had a real love for theatre as a whole, kind of for most of my life, but quite quickly realised I couldn't sing, act or dance.
Right. I mean, that doesn't stop some people.
No. But yeah, thankfully I've realised that from quite a young age. Still always wanted to be involved, and one of the school technician basically recognised that I was quite good in music when it came to like was fixing things and things like that I was quite technically minded, and he went, do you want to give me a hand with a few things? Started me off with sound, eventually progressed to me doing a bit of lighting as well, and I ended up converting full-time to the dark side.
Yes, or the light side.
Or the light side, but started at school, never looked back, really.
Excellent. Did you go to college at all to train? Or?
I did, yeah. I went to Central School of Speech and Drama.
Central. Excellent. What was your first paid job in theatre? My
first paid job in theatre was the Trafalgar Studios on a run of Constellations, and it was quite... I was slightly shocked myself that I managed to get the job.
All right.
I think I very much managed to talk my way into it. But yeah, they took a punt on me, and I think it worked out.
Excellent.
Got quite a few different casual jobs through them throughout ATG. Then eventually got past to NIMAX, and also did a whole load of work with producing theatres like the Almeida and the Royal Court as a freelancer for a number of years. And eventually settled at the Old Vic for about 3 years.
Excellent.
And then, COVID hit, as it did all of us.
Yes.
Took a job mixing paint in Leyland.
Oh, lovely.
In that time. Oh, yeah. It was suddenly quite bizarre being the other side of the counter. But, yeah, took a job, did what theatre work I could throughout that period, and then at the end of it, walked into a job at DMT and never looked back.
Excellent. Name any shows that you've worked on other than Constellations since then and to now. I mean, what's at the... Where are you at? The Almeida?
The Guildford.
The Guildford.
The Guildford.
What's the Guildford
So,
now?
Oliver.
Oliver, of course.
Olivier Award-winning Oliver.
Yes, of course, yeah, naturally.
Naturally. So I'm on Oliver at the moment. Pretty much, any show that's been at the Guildford the last 2 years. Before that was Mamma Mia, Mary Poppins. Then, like I said, at the Old Vic for about 3 years, so... Started on the second round of the Lorax there.
Right.
And finished on the Dumbwaiter, so any show that happened at the Old Vic
in
that period.
Yeah, fair enough.
I worked on. And then, before that, it was a decent stint at the Apollo. Did This House at the Garrick, did Travesties, I did Hamlet at the Almeida, started on the original run of The Ferryman at the Royal Court.
So just 1 or 2 shows then?
Just 1 or 2, yeah. Like I said, I kind of went through a period of almost setting shows up as a board op or a lighting technician or something like that.
Yeah.
And then either like leaving it with the in-house team or quite a few temporary contracts, and then, with NIMAX, for most of it, I was on full-run contracts as a board op.
Right.
And just kind of worked my way worked my way up into being a full-timer.
Excellent. So as a woman in the industry, which is primarily a man's industry still, unfortunately, but it's getting better, have you ever come across any issues, anybody holding you back, anything like that? Naming no names. No.
It's funny, actually. I had this discussion the other day with some people, and I was saying about how much better it has got, even in the last 4 years. You know, there was a period of time when I first started where I had never worked with another female electrician on every one. I knew there were others around, but on every show I was the only one. Now, particularly within DMT, every venue has a female electrician, at least one, sometimes multiple. I mean, the big thing you still get a lot of is I've had delivery drivers before not wanting me to handle the heavy stuff.
Yes, of course.
Telling me to leave it for the boys, and then me getting quite stubborn and trying to prove them wrong, potentially lifting heavier loads.
Yeah, heavy things than you should.
Run,
Absolutely.
And then the other one I get still a fair amount is the questioning of my credentials.
Right.
Where people will go, "Oh, so are you a qualified electrician?" And you're like, "Well, no. We're technicians, we're not necessarily electricians." And you kind of like trying to explain to them what you do and everything, and they're kind of like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, it's just one of those things where I'm like, I've never heard anyone ask the guys, and I've asked a fair few other like male technicians, have they ever been asked that?
Yeah.
And they've all gone, "No, I don't think so." But then pretty much every female technician I've asked has been asked that,
right? Yes,
at some point in their careers. But like I said, it is getting a lot better.
Yeah.
Now, stuff like that happens much more rarely, I'd say.
It always strikes me as weird as well, because you get asked if you're an qualified electrician, which means that, you know, because you're not technically, you can't rewire a plug at home, yet you work with 63 amp 3-phase every day, which is way more dangerous and way more powerful than the, 240 watt that you get at home or whatever it is.
Yeah, volts, and I always kind of explain to people that a lot of like laws in this country is based on competency rather than actual qualifications. Yeah. And a lot of it needs to be signed off by a qualified electrician.
But anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it so long as it's signed off by that person. And obviously you get them to check over your work before you seal it up and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm qualified in my electrical testing.
Yes. Pat test.
I've just spent the last kind of couple of months trying to pat test the theatre, and I found some dodgy stuff, some shocking stuff. Timu's got a lot to answer for dressing rooms these days.
I'll bet.
Actors bringing stuff from, jobs they've done on cruise ships where they've bought stuff in the States or something, and now that's a bit of a curse of pat testing at the moment. But
I can imagine.
But yeah, it's like I said, it is getting better. No, I'm not a qualified electrician, but not many are.
No, of course not. What would you say are the pros and cons of working in the industry?
The biggest pro for me, I do what I love.
Yeah.
I love theatre. I don't want to work in any other area of lighting. I'm not interested even in opera. It doesn't interest me. Live events and music, I don't particularly interest me. What I love is doing shows every single night, and being part of telling that sort of story. For me is the best thing about it. The cons, obviously, it comes at the price of your social life at times,
of course,
but I personally am getting, I think, a little bit better at making that work.
It's the work-life balance, isn't
it? Just finding that balance now. My encouragement to a few recent technicians I've had kind of walk through have been, like, try and find a hobby as well that's not theatre. Yeah. Like, try and find something else that you want to do with your time, so that when you're not here, you aren't constantly thinking about work. But yeah, obviously the working, 6-7 days a week sometimes, working night hours isn't always the easiest. But again, I think the industry as a whole as well is getting a little bit better at recognising that and trying to make that work. I see more departments now getting floats.
Yes.
As a full-timer, I'm on 5 days a week. We get, what we call day shifts, so working 9 till 6. And it is getting better at trying to find that sort of balance. Yeah,
excellent. So what would you say, when you have new people come in, what would you say is a common misconception that you see in them? So what do they think the industry is that when they actually get into it, it isn't?
I have to say the biggest thing is people coming out of drama school thinking they know everything.
Oh, well, yeah, that's fair enough.
We've all been there.
Absolutely.
I think we were all there at some point, but the biggest thing I think is as well recognising that every theatre works differently.
Yeah.
We actually base a lot in tradition, I think, a lot more than even we necessarily realise sometimes. So, like, you know, the handing over of the stage to front of house and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to, but that's that whole
something you do.
Yeah. Every day you go, yeah, we're ready, and they can see you're ready. They can see the presets up and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then there's even little things like asking stage before you fly something. Even though, you know, I'm competent at flying, I know how to fly something.
Yeah.
I would never touch my theatre's flyers without asking our stage
if you
department if that's okay first. And again, that sort of thing doesn't necessarily apply though in every single theatre. That's kind of like our theatre and the way we work, and kind of inbuilt in our sort of tradition there. Whereas, in other places they might just be like, yeah, go ahead, just jump on whenever you need to bring something in, just bring it in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think that's the big thing, recognising that everywhere works a little bit differently. You can't just assume that because you always did something one way at one theatre, it's going to be done the same way
and
you now are.
And also the groups theatres, because you work for DMT, which has, 6 theatres? Yeah. So, but not all of those 6 theatres work the same way.
No, absolutely
even though they're
not.
the same group.
Yeah, absolutely not. From anything even down to how the shows fit into the theatres, or how regularly they turn around and all that sort of thing, and therefore, you know, what can and can't be done to a theatre. You will have, you know, some shows in some venues that are in for a short amount of time, so they won't be allowed to make major modifications to dressing rooms, hallways and all that sort of thing. But then when you have shows like Oliver that we've had in, that we know are going to be there for quite a while, we're quite happy to put up some quite almost major mods to, you know, allow wardrobe to have more space and all that sort of thing. We'll drill into the walls to do that sort of thing because they're going to be there a while, and it's going to make it a lot easier in that long run. Yeah. Rather than, you know,
having to
them
make
only
do.
Being there for 12 weeks.
Yeah. What advice would you give to anybody who's trying to get in the industry?
My biggest one I always say to people is just try and be a nice person. Yeah. Honestly, you'd be surprised at how far that will get you in this industry. Being a decent person, being nice to have around. You can interview people where everyone's got the same level of talent, but that one person who's so much easier to get on with, and you know, you feel you can have a laugh with, or just chat with about life in general, is, you know, the one who will probably end up getting a job, because we're stuck, you know, often in areas with no light for a long amount of time. And you just want to know you've got someone with you that you can turn to, to pick you up, and
also isn't, you know, it's not just constantly talking about work. You're not constantly talking shop. Somebody who you can talk to just about, like you say, about outside things, just have a laugh, or you know, it's not because you are in the same place a lot,
absolutely,
4, 6, 7 nights a week, so you need that release. From people that you work with. Yeah,
just be able to have a good conversation, and it takes nothing to be nice.
No, it really doesn't. Costs nothing to be nice. And that's everything I've got for you, so thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. A big thank you to Erin. Really enjoyed talking to Erin there. It was really enjoyable. Thank you so much for the downloads. Thank you for the continued follows. Thank you for the streams. Thank you for the messages. If you want to get in touch, the email is techtablepod@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch via the socials, it's Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, Threads and YouTube are all techtablepod. Tell your friends, tell your family. Tell anyone you know who's interested in the technical side of the industry, and anyone who's not, because it might make them interested. A big thank you to Megan G from the GSA, and a big thank you to Jade from Sad as Well as East, and Flynn from Q-Light, and Nathan as well, for the continued help you're giving me. Tech Table team is really working hard, and the results are showing, so that's really cool. Really hope you enjoyed this show. Really hope you enjoyed this week, and looking forward to next week. So until then, I shall see you all next week.